Darren Muji and Joe Shane, you two guys are officially on the clock. It is now legal to tamper. The NFL's legal tampering period just kicked off. The Jets and the Giants can start negotiating deals with some free agents. This is your free agency, I guess, official kickoff show for the New York Post Sports. Tampering. Yeah.
We can tamper now.
We can tamper.
Yeah.
B London here repping Blue Rush. Ryan Sampson's here repping Gangs All here. We're live tracking and reacting to all the reported early free agent signings throughout the league and how it's going to affect your Jets and Giants. Our Jets and Giants beat writers for the Post, Brian Costello and Paul Schwartz, going to be calling in, as well as Frankie Vittorini from Gangs All here as well, and U Stadium. But we have Kaz on the line now.
Look, the moves are already starting before free agency tampering even started. We saw the news today. The Jets trade for safety Minkah Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins. Local kid here in New Jersey. He's coming back here. The Jets lock him up also with an extension here. 7th round pick,
a stealing.
Dolphins are just dumping contracts right now.
Yeah,
so the two are released too, but I'm excited to talk to Kaz about this, man. Let's get into it.
All right, so let's bring him in. Our Jets beat writer for the Post, Brian Costello, is on, can tell us everything about this Minkah deal and everything that he thinks the Jets are going to do in terms of being active in the free agency in this legal tampering period. Kaz, appreciate you hopping on, man. Minkah Fitzpatrick, I don't know if you're a Call of Duty guy, but the Jets got him on a fire sale. Can you kind of tell us everything you know about this deal?
Yeah, I mean, look, the compensation isn't the big question here, guys, in terms of what they gave the Dolphins. The question is the contract, right? We know it's 3 years, $40 million. We kind of need to see the details, though. Is this a contract they can get out of after a year? Is this a contract if things aren't working out, they can move them at the deadline easily? Like, I assume it is. I assume it's going to be a pretty fungible contract. So if it's that there, I don't see any downside here really of doing this. The question with Minkah is he's going to be 30 years old during the season. How much does he have left? I've talked to some people around the league this morning who said they think, in the short term, he's a good bet. Like he's still got some ball left in him. This takes them out of the major safety market, though. I'd say if they're paying $13 million a year for Minkah, you're not going to sign another big safety. You might sign a cheaper one, but I can't see them having two safeties back there that are making over $10 million a year. So this is over, the guys we talked about of like Nick Cross and Brian Cook and guys we've been discussing in free agency. I think they're probably out of that market. So they need veteran leaders. That's something they really need. Yeah. They didn't have it last year. They really felt the loss of CJ Mosley, I thought, on defense in the leadership aspect of things. This gives them a leader. I would imagine Minkah will be a captain of this team, would be my guess. Aaron Glenn's going to call the defense. He needs some players. He needs some guys who've been around football, not learning on the job, and that's Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, look, Kaz, Minkah Fitzpatrick, according to Pro Football Focus, rated as the 9th highest rated coverage grade in terms of safeties in the NFL. They're getting a proven leader, like you said, and they're getting a quality football player here, something that the Jets especially need on the defensive side of the ball. I think what's interesting is what you just mentioned there, that takes them out of the running for the high, highly sought after safeties in the free agent class. Kaz, they need 2 starting safeties here, not just one. So Minkah definitely solves one of those spots. Who are some of those names you think that the Jets could be looking at if it's not the top of the market now?
Yeah, I have to recalibrate, Ryan, and really look at who the lower end of the safety. I just think it's too much for them to sign another safety for $12 million a year or $11 million a year, which some of those guys are going to get. Maybe some of them the market doesn't develop for, and the Jets find a bargain. But I think the Jets will be looking for value now at the position. I thought they'd spend money at safety, and they did here with Minkah as the contract extension. So I think now it's see who's available in the second tier of free agency. Maybe if any of those guys don't get big contracts right away, maybe they can be had for a cheaper price and they can get them $8 million, $9 million, something like that for a second safety. But that, it's like you said, they need 2 for sure.
I almost look at it when we talk about Aaron Glenn now taking over as defensive coordinator. He's got his Brian Branch. He's got himself a corner that can also play the nickel. I mean, a former corner that's been moved to safety that can also play nickel. And if you really want to get creative with them, you can have some sort of big dime type package where you can have 6 DBs on the field and you can have Minkah cover safety, running back, that sort of thing. It goes back to, cause I used to train Minkah Fitzpatrick his senior year at St. Peter's Prep in Jersey City before he went off and he went to Alabama. In fact, he gave me a sty in my eye before because we were doing one-on-ones when I was getting ready I was coming off a knee surgery in the CFL, and he was, trying to jam me, press man me at the line, and his glove like hit my eye and it got infected and I actually had a sty. So there's a little story right there from Minkah. But
sounds like you have a lawsuit, Brandon.
Yeah, now that he's getting 3 for $40 million, I should. I wonder what the statute of limitations is for giving someone a sty. But I mean, you knew from day one this kid was going to be a leader. When he used to do my catches clinics at ETS in Teterboro, New Jersey, there were kids who, when you step up to do a rep, Minkah would go and then he'd go back to the front of the line. And then Minkah would go again and go back to the front of the line. There were guys that I brought from the NFL to like work these camps, and they would be like, who's that light-skinned cat over there, man? Like, that kid's got it. And then everyone was like, oh, that's Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's going to Alabama. So Minkah is that guy that I feel as though could step in for this defense and be that leader that you guys are talking about. And now I think this kind of frees you up to maybe you don't have to go out there and get that safety in free agency.
Yeah.
Do you now find a guy that you liked that can fall to the 3rd or 4th round, pair him up with Minkah, and now you get a chance to step in and learn from a brilliant football mind, from a football IQ guy on day one.
I think Kaz would agree with this. This Jets team was one of the youngest in the NFL last year, and Malachi Moore coming in last year is asked to do a lot considering they didn't have great play at the position. And I think this is a nice spot for Malachi Moore to learn from Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree with that, Kaz?
Yeah, I think Malachi, you can't discount him. I think he's in the mix. I think they're probably looking for 3 safeties here, Malachi being the second one with Minkah, and then they're going to add somebody, whether it's free agency or draft. And Malachi, I think, still has a chance to start. I thought he did some good things as a rookie. I wouldn't write him off. But, yeah, I think that this is important for the Jets. I think you'll end up, when all is said and done, they're going to have like one of these guys at each level of the defense. That's an older guy that can sort of teach them. Maybe they have it already in Harrison Phillips on the D-line, but they really need that at linebacker now. Yeah. I think that'll be an older guy that they sign, and then now they have it in the secondary as well.
Yeah, I heard names like Demario Davis. Do you think that's an actual possibility? They reunite with Davis again with the Jets?
I mean, Demario's 37 now, so you're getting up there. They have to evaluate, how much they think is left. But DeMario is probably one of the best leaders I've ever seen. Even when he was young, he walked in. I remember Revis telling me, like, this guy, there's something special about this guy. And Rex compared him to Ray Lewis in terms of leadership, not in terms of being a linebacker. And then he really blossomed in New Orleans, as a player. And Aaron Glenn has strong ties to New Orleans and crossed over with him there. So I could see that. Alex Anzalone's the other one from Detroit, and Anzalone's 31. So he's younger than DeMario, but he's not, he's over 30. So he would kind of fit the category of guys I'm looking at too.
He also played in that Aaron Glenn defense in Detroit as well. So not only would you get a leader in a Minkah Fitzpatrick who can pick up your system relatively easy, but someone who's already played in your system as well.
Glenn's calling plays now, right? He's going to want guys he trusts to call his defense. So he's going to believe in those veteran type players on the defensive side of the ball. Again, a very young defense. It was not a good defense. And if you can have guys that you trust that can be in the system and teach the younger guys where they got to be, I think Demario Davis makes sense. Alex Anzalone makes sense. This Minkah move makes a ton of sense for them. I like so far where they seem to be going right now in the offseason.
At 37, though, you'd be getting Udonis Haslem, like a player coach, at 37. But again, if you feel as though you like that leadership role, that guy that could step in and kind of be an extension of your voice as a coordinator and a head coach. If you feel as though that is that important, then you can definitely bring him in and see what value you can get out of him. Kaz, I want to ask you about another Jersey guy that's kind of on the move, Rashawn Gary, who went to Paramus Catholic out in Paramus. Going to the Cowboys. The Jets obviously trading away Jermaine Johnson. They're going to be in the market for an edge rusher. Were they in on Rashawn Gary? Did they make any sort of play for him?
Yeah, I haven't heard that, Brandon, and I don't think he fits what they're looking for right now.
Okay.
I think expectations are that number 2 pick is going to be an edge rusher, whether that's Arvell Reese or whether it's David Bailey. I think you're going to see an edge rusher taken there. So I think they're looking more for depth at the edge right now. So to me, it's probably going to be second wave of free agency, something like that. Third wave of free agency, maybe they're going to add an edge rusher there. Rashawn Gary it's probably what did he go for, a fourth? Was that the trade?
Yeah,
it was a fourth round pick.
Probably a little too much for what the Jets are looking for, I think, right there.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say this to wrap up the Minkah Fitzpatrick part of this conversation too, Kaz.
Yep.
He's had a history of turning the ball over. I know recently it's not been great. And that's part of like where the Dolphins were playing him, where he was playing more as a box safety. According to Next Gen Stats, Seth Walder had some good stats on it. Yeah. But this is a guy who has 3 seasons with at least 5 interceptions. Most recently, obviously, was in 2022. He only has 2 interceptions in the last 3 seasons. But it's a guy that the Jets desperately need that knows how to turn the ball over, and that they had 0 last year, which is still insane to think about.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody who had Minkah in Miami, who coached him in Miami, and was saying he has this uncanny knack of the ball just finds him. Like tip pass, the ball ends up like it's wacky, like how he just always seems to be around the ball. The Jets could use some of that, as you said, Ryan. They had 0 interceptions. They only had 4 takeaways altogether. And like you watch some of the games, I've started, I'm in the middle of the season rewatching the season, and there are instances where the ball's in the ground, the ball's tipped, and then there's just no one in the picture from the Jets to capitalize on it. So if they can get some of that out of him, squeeze whatever the juice he has left in his career, like that would be a big plus, because they definitely need some guys who are going to take the ball away.
So we've talked about safety. We talked about linebacker play. Let's go switch to the offensive side of the ball, guys, because I think this is interesting. Elijah Vera-Tucker obviously is not retained on before he hits free agency here, and now he can negotiate with other teams. I've heard rumors about the Giants potentially be interesting in him, but why are the Jets allowing both Sampson and Vera-Tucker to walk as free agents when we had talked about the only solid part about this team last year was actually its offensive line play? I know it's bookended with their 2 young tackles, but it feels strange to me to let a 26-year-old, I know he has a ton of freak injuries about these torn triceps and torn Achilles over the last couple of years, but why are you letting a 26-year-old former first-round pick who you named captain before the season last year just walk?
Yeah, he doesn't want to be here, Ryan. So, like, everyone always goes, oh, the Jets are letting him go. ABT, I've heard ABT really wants to change the scenery. He feels like he's just had bad luck after bad luck after bad luck with the Jets, and he kind of wants to change his juju a little bit and find a new team. So I don't pin this on the Jets. I think he wants to go somewhere else. And look, if he goes out in the market and the market doesn't develop, maybe there's a chance for a reunion. Maybe the Jets make him the best offer and he decides, you know what, I will go back. That makes the most sense for me. But I think the other part for the Jets, if you're trying to negotiate beforehand, his market is tough to figure because of the injuries. Like I've seen people say, he's going to get $15 million a year. Like that would surprise me, but offensive linemen are what they are. But I really think the biggest factor is I think AVT, he just wants to go somewhere else, Ryan. Like I think that's what I've heard is he's just kind of tired of the injuries and feels like he needs a new place to play. In terms of Sampson, I think that's one of those signings, Ryan, where like you got a lot out of him in 2024. You kind of go, good job. That was a good signing. Let's try to get another John Sampson now. Like, can we get a younger version of him and sign someone similar and hope to get a good year or 2 out of him? I think they got what they signed up for with John Sampson. I'm not sure I would extend them. And like in terms of they're pretty good on the offensive line right now. They've got, I'd say 3 of the 5 spots are solidified, and Josh Myers showed he was a capable starter last year. I think you can roll with him. And now I would expect them to sign a guard and probably draft a guard as well. I think you do both and see how it plays out over the next few months.
I get worried about investing another premium pick in a interior offensive line position when I hear you, Kaz. He doesn't want to be here. You can't force him to be here.
Well, they use a premium pick on AVT, and
I know,
but so like
I like them.
If you can get one of those and get 4 years out of them on cost control, or 5 if it's a first round pick. I think that's a pretty
if I'm this regime, would I even want him back though? After that, like if you're a guy that's AVT, if you're a guy that has a history of freak injuries, so we always talk about the best ability being availability, and then now you kind of want this change of scenery. We're going to grant that for you. Now you're not, you're not the it guy. No one's going to give you the money that you feel as though that you've told yourself a story that you deserve. Why would I want you back now when I want to bring in, if I'm going to bring in a DeMario Davis, if I'm going to bring in Minkah, because I want good juju, good vibes within the locker room, why am I going to come back? Why am I going to bring that guy back that doesn't want to be a part of this?
I bring him back because, and I think Kaz agrees with this, when he's on the field, he's one of the best offensive linemen out there. The guy plays damn good football. Like the problem is he can't stay on the field. I know. But like he plays damn good when he's on the field. Kaz, before we wrap up with you, let's talk about wide receiver. And obviously then we'll finish up with the quarterback, but starting with the wide receiver position, is there potential for the Jets to make, I've seen the Brian Thomas stuff. Could they make a deal for him and trading for him? Will they get, maybe like a free agent wide receiver depth piece? How do you see them attacking that position?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be at the top market here. And I just saw, as we were talking, Alec Pierce signed with the Colts for a whole lot of money. I think $28 million a year.
He's back with the Colts for a 4-year deal.
Yeah, 4-year deal, like 116 million or something.
16 million,
yeah. So obviously that's the top of the market, and the Jets did their work on him. Like I heard they were interested in Alec Pierce, but then when they saw climbing, over $20 million, they're like, okay, we're probably not going to dabble there. They're there to have Garrett.
That's when I got out.
You got Garrett at $30 million a year. Why would you do that with Pierce 29?
I think that they might be looking for value, in the free agency market. I think more likely the answer comes through a trade or the draft, right? I think that's where they find your wide receiver too. Is Brian Thomas available? I don't think anyone credible has said he's actually available yet. Like, I think that's been sort of a internet rumor thing. Maybe he will be available at some point. He would be an interesting player if he becomes available. What's the cost? What are they looking for? Would the Jets spin? Would they spin one of their 2s for Brian Thomas? Maybe. You do that, or does Michael Pittman is the other one now that people think will be out there. So I don't think they're going to make a splash at receiver, Rye, in the free agent market, but they could in a trade. And then obviously I think you look at that pick 16 and that's an attractive spot for a wide receiver right now.
Cause you think a Wan'Dale Robinson could be a guy that the Jets take a look at, because when we talk about what Malachi Corley was drafted to be, he was drafted to kind of be a bigger, thicker Wan'Dale Robinson, that utility slot guy. You can jet sweep, orbit motion, and he can get you the first downs on those intermediate routes. Wan'Dale's coming off of, a career year. Do you think there could be a fit for Wan'Dale to just stay in North Jersey and then just, swap his blue for green?
I haven't heard that, Brandon. I think he might even be priced out of the Jets market. I think Wan'Dale will cash in. Everyone thinks he's going to Tennessee with Dable and Saleh down there. I think that's what I heard. And remember, Malachi Corley was the previous regime's pick, so I'm not sure this regime is looking for that guy necessarily. I haven't seen enough of Frank Reich's offense to know how he utilizes the gadget plays and things like that. So, but I'd be surprised if Wan'Dale was here. I think that wide receiver 2 is going to come from either a trade or the draft.
Yeah, look, while the window is open now for free agency, this is the Free Agency Frenzy special here on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. Obviously, we're joined here by the Jets beat writer Brian Costello. I'm Ryan Sampson from Gangzola here. That's Brandon London from Blue Rush. Just to reset, we did see that the Patriots are signing Ravens defensive end Draymond Jones. So the Patriots add some depth there. Kaz, let's finish this up though with the quarterback position.
Can't believe you went last to quarterback. Well, it's usually first.
Well, I wanted to start with the positivity of Minkah Fitzpatrick.
There you go.
And now we finish with the negativity because I am seeing some names thrown out there. And I know, look, Ryan, who do you want them to get? It's not a great market out there. But talk to me here. Where's the real interest for the Jets at the quarterback position in free agency?
Yeah, it's not a pretty picture, Ryan. I mean, brace yourself.
See, he always keeps it real. Kaz always keeps it real.
Ryan, I think this could be I think this could be some depth chart at the quarterback position for the Jets in 2026.
no.
But I also don't, in fairness, Ryan, no one has prevented me with like, this is what the Jets should do. And I'm like, yeah, that would be the solution to the problem. Like I've never seen a year like this where all the options feel bad to me or risky at least, so I think they're going to take a look at Kyler Murray and see what's there. The problem for me is I don't see why Kyler Murray would pick the Jets. Like he's in a position now where he and his agent are going to sit there and go, we got to get your career back on track. Where are we going to go? Oh, do we go to Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson, or do we go to the Jets, where Aaron Glenn's hanging by a thread and they haven't won anything in 15 years? So they can't spend their way out of this because the money doesn't really matter because the Cardinals are paying them $36 million. So you're not going to the attraction of Kyler Murray right now is he's a bargain. So I think they'll explore that. I think the more likely guy, though, in that bucket of recent cuts is Geno Smith. I think a Geno Smith reunion makes a lot of sense. It's not ideal, like I said, but I think Geno still has good football left in him. Not that long ago, he played pretty well in Seattle. And then I think you're looking at, the second quarterback's going to be Carson Wentz or Andy Dalton or one of those types of guys.
Oh my gosh.
I'll tell you what, if the Jets go with Geno Smith and Carson Wentz as their quarterback room, book it. They will have the number 1 pick next year. Like they will have the number 1 pick for Arch Manning. Like that's just the way it's going right now, guys.
But because with all that draft capital, and if I'm Aaron Glenn and I know my job is I'm on that hot seat right now, and you're sitting with all those first round picks. You don't see there could be a chance or an opportunity for them to get super aggressive and maybe using some of those first round, second round picks to try and trade for a well-known quarterback. I don't have a name.
Give me a name.
Good luck. That's what Kaz does to me. He goes, give me a name. Do you have a name?
Let's go. Joe Burrow to get him out of the Cincinnati.
Cincinnati's not trading Joe Burrow.
Do it. They're not trading him.
They're not trading Joe Burrow. Like, look, Cincinnati digs in on Trey Hendrickson and they dug in on T. Higgins. They're certainly not going to move Joe Burrow. I've been interested in, and again, this is not going to knock your socks off. The backup quarterback market of like these guys who Tyson Bagent or Will Levis or Davis Mills, guys who are kind of blocked by franchise quarterbacks in front of them, but they've had some success in the NFL when they've played. But I heard the price tag on these guys has been crazy. I heard like teams are looking for second round picks. One team even asked for a first round pick for a player like this.
Like crazy.
Wow. So the Jets aren't going to do that because that kind of like feels like a player maybe with some upside. Maybe if he gets a starting opportunity and he's 26 years old, you got something. But there are no good answers. I mean, only the Jets could have the number 2 pick in a 1 quarterback draft. Yeah, and then Malik Willis, I think, is going to get paid, and I don't think the Jets are going to go down that road.
Yeah, and you've already said that Kirk Cousins is not interested in coming here as well. So
no, they're not interested in Kirk Cousins.
They're not interested in Kirk Cousins. Sorry, and the Derek Carr stuff is interesting, but like
I don't think they're interested in Derek Carr, really. Yeah, I don't think they're interested.
Not even interested in Derek Carr.
So no one.
It's really limited options for what the Jets are going to do at quarterback. Kaz, thank you for hopping on here and talking the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade.
Yep.
Thank you for talking quarterback options. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon again. But as always, pay attention to Kaz's coverage for all the Jets free agent updates, and we'll see where they go the rest of this free agent and offseason, as it's now officially the tampering period. And now I think we're bringing in your guy here.
We're definitely starting off with something positive, and we're ending on something positive on that note. After just going through that emotional roller coaster, I just got a chance to feel what it feels to be a Jets fan. Huh?
Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs per Tom Pelissero.
Wow. Because Pacheco's gone. All those guys are hey,
you know we should talk about this right now with?
Who's that?
We should talk about the Giants beat writer, Paul Schwartz, who had mentioned the Giants were interested in a Kenneth Walker. Paul, thank you for hopping on here on the live stream here with the New York Post Sports Free Agency Frenzy. We get the news that Ken Walker is now going to be going to the Chiefs per Tom Pelissero. How's it going out there, man? We got Paul.
Paul, you got us?
Paul, you got us, buddy? Don't think Paul has us right now. Let's bring him. We're going to have to hide him for a second here as we try to get Paul on here. But look,
let's talk about Walker because I didn't want that pick.
Super Bowl MVP. Didn't want Ken Walker.
Absolutely not. You got the and that's Super Bowl MVP is hard. You got to ball out in the Super Bowl to get that. But I just thought because of the way that offense was built, it was either going to be him or JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba to get that. But once, when those reports were flying around, I was like, why Kenneth Walker? Like, we only talked about him. We didn't talk about him throughout the course of the season, like a Saquon, like a Derrick Henry. We only talked about him through a late postseason run, which, that'll get you paid. But I just didn't see with you already having a Tyrone Tracy Jr. and a Cam Scatterbull coming back from this injury. Kenneth Walker is kind of the same running back as those guys. So I wanted the Giants or need the Giants to get a home run hitter from that running back position and at a discounted price because we're going to bring Paul back on here in a little bit. The Giants only have
I think we're bringing Paul on right now, actually. So but go keep going.
Only have about $14.2 million to spend according to Over the Cap. So do you want to throw all that into a running back?
I don't know. Let's ask Paul.
Let's talk to Paul. Paul, you back?
Paul, you got Ryan and Brandon right now?
Hi, guys. How you doing?
There we go.
Hey, there he is. What's going on,
I can't hear anybody there.
Oh, Paul can't hear us. All right. Let's put him back out there. Look.
It's tempering period. Things happen.
We're trying to figure out technology. It's all good. Look, what I'll say about this is that and I agree with you. Like, you don't know if you want to commit that much money to a Ken Walker offensively when you have Tyrone Tracy, who's coming off another nice year. You have, the rookie Cam Scatterbull coming back. But I think we know the identity John Harbaugh is trying to identify with this team, right? And you would agree with this. They're trying to run the ball well. Like, they want that to be established as part of their offensive scheme. Ken Walker could do that for you, but obviously not that price market that you're going to have to pay him.
Without a doubt. If I already have those two backs, unless I'm going to trade one of them to try and get some sort of value and address another situation, I'm just going to have a three-headed monster at the running back position. I'm not saying, Devin Singletary restructured his deal. And I know a lot of people may not be high on him and may feel like he's got his better years behind him, but a running back, a younger Devin Singletary with a little bit more speed makes sense. So now you've got, because when you think about a John Harbaugh, you've had Ray Rice go to the Pro Bowl, Justin Forsett, Derrick Henry. But all those guys also have complimentary backs to spell them when they go down or when, you break a long run, you tap the helmet and you want a guy to come out. When you think about the Giants, and, obviously there's a bias there because 2007, my rookie year, Super Bowl year, there was earth, wind, fire, and thunder. Brandon Jacobs, Derek Ward, Ahmad Bradshaw, and Reuben Drones even stepped in at times throughout the points of the season. So to have a four-headed monster at running back, I'm okay with the Tyrone Tracy Jr., the Cam Scatterbull, but then that third guy has to be, to me, in my offense, I would want a blazer that can also play special teams as well, because that third running back has to play special teams.
And it makes sense too, that I think, from what Harbaugh's trying to do. And I mean, look, they have a very good offensive room now, right? Like, even though Matt Nagy is the offensive coordinator, they have Greg Roman, who is known to be one of the best run coordinators in the NFL. So you could see how they're trying to establish this all. I would say this, though. Does this put more pressure on the Giants to potentially look at Jeremiah Love at 5 and say, that's a guy that we actually might want to take at 5?
Why not? Why? That's what I'm telling people. When they come, what about the Saquon? Throw the Saquon PTSD out of the window, because if you look at the Giants' offensive line for that 5 to 6 years Saquon was here, they ranked towards the bottom of the NFL every single year when it came to run blocking efficiency. This is not that giant offensive line. So if you are going to get that Jeremiah Love at 5, then you need to make sure you lock up Jermaine Illuminor, who has Harbaugh drafted him back in 2018 or 19, I believe. And then you got to solidify the interior offensive line and get an upgrade there to give Jeremiah Love, to make sure you don't make the same mistake with the Jeremiah Love as you did with the Saquon. But the biggest part with the Matt Nagy, Greg Roman, and then Brian Callahan also in that offensive coaching staff, it's what he brings in the passing game. Remember, Saquon had 94 catches as a rookie. Jeremiah Love, if you could get him 40-something catches off of screens and mismatches, or even those little jet shovel passes, that counts as a pass.
Yeah.
This kid can be your Bijan Robinson. He can be your Saquon. He can be your Christian McCaffrey. And if we're talking about the development of a Jackson Dart being so important, who is outside of the quarterback in the center, who touches the football the most outside of the center and quarterback? The running back.
Yeah.
You mentioned John Harbaugh wants to run the football, wants to have your identity as, hey, we're tough.
Smash mouth football.
Smash mouth. You got Cam and Tyrone Tracy as a smash mouths. And then you have your home run hitter that, hey, I can give you this tall sweep or this counter tray, and forget getting 7 or 16 from it. You just hit a home run for 55 and a touchdown. Offense, get off the field, go dance on the sideline. Touchdown, Giants.
Well, look, Kenneth Walker's going to the Chiefs. It makes sense for him too, right? I mean, like the Giants, you could see are an ascending team, with John Harbaugh taking over as the new regime. But the Chiefs, you're talking about a team that's always in it. Obviously, this past year was going through it. They didn't have a good offense that last year. It was a lot relying on Patrick Mahomes to make special plays. And with Kenneth Walker going there, it just feels like it releases a little bit of that pressure on Mahomes coming off a torn ACL.
Without a doubt.
Now you have a real running back that can pound the rock.
They're reshaping,
Yeah.
They're adapting their identity. And that's what I love about the Chiefs and Andy Reid, and just how they continue to construct their roster. Like every year, there's something completely different than the year before.
Yeah.
And you have to be creative when it comes to that, because I've dumped anything and everything into my franchise quarterback, which we can all agree I'd pay Patrick Mahomes the same thing as well. And Patrick Mahomes seems like he's on board with that, knowing like, hey guys, I'm going to be back. I'm going to get 100% as fast as I can, but we may not be able to play action and I run around and make something happen on first and second downs. Let's control the tempo of the football game. And then when it's time for me to have my magic moments, I can still have a little something for you. But this is a team they're reshaping their identity. And I mean, that's just that when you look at doing it the right way, there you have it.
Yeah,
because you have a coach that's not stuck in his system.
Yeah.
He gets the most out of his players.
John Harbaugh and Andy Reid, obviously, they've been together. They coach together. They come from the same coaching tree. And why not talk about Harbaugh? Let's try the third time.
Okay, third time's the charm.
Third time is always
third
the charm.
running back.
Let's bring back in Paul and see if we can get his take on what's going on with the Giants right now. Paul, can you hear us?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, let's go,
Paul. What's going on, man? This is what makes it fun when we're live. We're having a good time here. We appreciate you coming on here and just giving us your latest here. Look, Ken Walker goes to the Chiefs. He doesn't go to the Giants. What are your thoughts here on the Giants? Whether they were interested, not interested? How do you take this move?
Yeah, this was not going to happen. Too much money. I don't know what the money is yet, but they were interested. But they're interested in a lot of guys, and they knew the $10 million a year was not going to do it. I'll be interested to see what the numbers are for Walker and the Chiefs. We'll see. But I imagine it's more than that. So, yeah, interested, yes, which shows you that John Harbaugh wants to improve the running back room by any way he can. They want to be a running team. Clearly he does not think Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterbo and now Devin Singletary on a reduced contract are the be-all, end-all. So I still think that they will look to improve that. But Kenneth Walker was the top of the you're shopping at the high rent district there, and that was not going to get it done for the Giants with a running back.
So let's go to Walmart then, Paul, or Burlington, as I like to go and shop at from time to time. As to who's that kind of second or third tier running back list that you feel as though the Giants can now target and make sense with, their limited cap space as you reported.
Brandon, we can get off running back because that's good. I don't think that's going to be their number one priority right now. Their number one priority right now is trying to re-sign their own free agents. Okay, Cordell Flott, Jermaine Illuminor, and of course, who else? Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson. They're not going to get all three back. They may not get any of the three back. That's their priority. I think there's some frustration in the Giants building that they're looking at themselves and say, we won 4 games last year, and our guys are going to get paid big money. It's like, great players. We didn't win a lot of games with these. Stay in order, I would say Wan'Dale Robinson is the least likely to come back. I think the Giants would have gone like 13-14 for Wan'Dale. I think somebody else, most likely the Titans, will go higher than that, maybe 15, 16, 17, maybe 18 million a year. Brian Daboll loves Wan'Dale Robinson, and his offense is perfect for a little shifty slot receiver, which Matt Nagy's offense is not going to prioritize. So I would think Wan'Dale Robinson will be gone. They really want Jermaine Illuminor back, but Jermaine Illuminor says, I think I'm the best right tackle in the league. Right now, that's a good way to think, if you want to be a competitor and think, no one's better than me. No one can block me. I don't need help, those kind of things. But it's not a good way to think if you want to get paid that way. And that is the way you look at yourself financially. So look, you can shoot for the moon, right? But the Giants are not going to pay Jermaine Illuminor like he's the best right tackle in the league. And I don't think anybody will, but somebody may look at him and say, we think he's closer to that than the Giants think he is. So he may get more money elsewhere. Don't forget, John Harbaugh had Illuminor early in Illuminor's career, and he was a seldom used guard who didn't play much. So I think Harbaugh likes him to a point, so we'll see where that goes. And Cordell Flott, they just gave Paulson Adebo last year, who's a veteran, $18 million a year. They can't give Cordell Flott $18 million a year. I don't think they can. Adebo is CB1 and Flott will be CB1A if he comes back. So, if they can get Flott for less money, I think they'll do it. We'll see what's out there. I think it behooves all these players to look on the open market, and that's not what the Giants want to hear. But why sign a, team-friendly deal when you're going to have suitors out there? So we'll see. We'll see. That's their priority, to get some of these guys re-signed, because if they don't, they need a wide receiver, even if Wan'Dale Robinson comes back. So if they don't, they need a number 2 and number 3 wide receiver. That's a lot, right? Slayton right now must be a 4. If Cordell Flott doesn't come back, they need a starting cornerback. That's a lot, right? That's hard to find. And if Jermaine Illuminor does not come back, they need unquestionably a starting right tackle. So, those are holes the Giants had filled last year. They may open up these holes once again this year.
Look, Paul, we see that, the Giants might be interested in Isaiah Likely. Cade Otton is returning to the Bucs, so that's another tight end off the list. Is the interest real in Isaiah Likely? Would he reunite with John Harbaugh here in New York?
Yeah, I think he would. And I think the Giants would be interested in him. John Harbaugh said something interesting a couple of weeks ago at the scouting combine. He mentioned Isaiah Likely to a group of reporters unsolicited, just mentioned him as, we were talking about slot receivers and Wan'Dale Robinson. And he said, they come in all shapes and sizes. You know what I mean? Cooper Kupp. I think he mentioned Edelman, he said, hey, Isaiah Likely could be a guy you can use in the slot. Now, Isaiah Likely is a tight end, right? Yeah. But he's a pass catching tight end. So I think there is interest there from the Giants. We'll see where that goes. He's a good player. He's athletic. He's got 15 touchdowns in 4 years. Yep. His numbers aren't overwhelming. He wasn't a starter, right? He was a part-time starter. Mark Andrews was the starter in Baltimore. So depending on the price, I could see them bringing him in. I think he's more what they're looking at as a slot guy. Now, is he going to line up in the slot all the time? I don't think so. John Harbaugh also likes Daniel Bellinger.
Mm.
I know that for a fact he likes him. Now, does some team like Daniel Bellinger better as a tight end too? And Harbaugh kind of sees him as a hybrid fullback tight end, for the right price. What does Joe Shane think about that? So we'll see. But I think Isaiah Likely is someone who we can talk about. Yes.
That would be a pretty solid tight end room to have Isaiah Likely, Theo Johnson, and a Daniel Bellinger, because Paul, we've talked about this before. The fan base loved Daniel Bellinger. When he steps into the football game, he may not have the wiggle, or he may not be a yak guy, but he catches the football. And that's something that we saw Theo Johnson kind of struggle with at times, especially on third down. But what I love about trying to bring in Isaiah Likely, now that kind of takes a little bit of pressure off of you to grab a receiver with the 5th pick there, because this gives you a mismatch, a weapon within that offense and that pass game. And there's times where, like I think he's the free agent that they're looking after, that kind of that second tier guy, that backup that has played well enough to now be a starter elsewhere.
Yeah, Likely
and they're not going to have to break the bank to get him. And there's times where he looked better than Mark Andrews. So I would love for that pick to come in. Go ahead, Paul.
Look, I mean, Harbaugh knows him. You know what I mean? Harbaugh knows him, intimately for 4 years. So, if he's saying, we should make a run at Isaiah Likely, that's all on Harbaugh. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean he knows the guy, just like Brian Daboll was telling his GM, we should get Wan'Dale Robinson. No one knows him better than Brian Daboll, right? Yep. Harbaugh was, in Baltimore when they drafted him. Now, Brandon, I don't know if they can get Likely and Bellinger. I just don't know if they're going to, put that much resources into that. Yep. And don't forget, they did bring back Chris Manhertz, who is a tight end. He's really a blocker, right? He doesn't, run out in patterns. But they now, will he make the final roster? I don't know, but they did bring him back, and if Harbaugh looked at that and said, look, I don't want Manhertz back, and he's been with the Giants a few years, we don't need him, then they wouldn't. So, he's your blocker in the room, certainly, and a veteran and a leader and an adult in the room, you can say. So, I mean, I don't know what John Harbaugh thinks of Theo Johnson. I really don't. You know what I mean? I'm sure he likes his talent and potential. I bet you he doesn't like some of his failings, and so, I don't know if Harbaugh says, oh yeah, Theo, terrific. And, he may be looking at it and saying, Isaiah Likely is going to beat out Theo Johnson. I don't know that, but so yes, I think Isaiah Likely is a guy that they could bring in. I don't know if it's, sorry for this, likely that they do, but I think it's someone that they can, but I don't know if they can get Bellinger and Likely, considering, I mean, we got to talk about the offensive line, even with or without Luminor, because John Harbaugh wants to improve the interior of that offensive line.
Yeah, look, Paul, they obviously need some help there, like you said. And I think the question is, I saw some rumors about Elijah Vera Tucker, the Jets free agent guard, who now has hit free agency. Is that a possibility the Giants could be looking at AVT and just bringing him right here, staying in North Jersey, and just being like, hey, let's have you switch colors here and come join the Big Blue?
I think the Giants could have two new starting guards next year. Look, they need a starting guard for Van Roten, right? Greg Van Roten's spot. Now, would they bring Van Roten back? Sure. The guy never misses a snap. He's a good guy. He's steady. He can play guard and center. But I don't think John Harbaugh wants to bring him back and hand him the starting job. I don't think at all that John Harbaugh looks at John Runyon Jr. and says, that's my starting left guard. We have, Andrew Thomas, and we have John John Runyon at left guard, and that's my left side. I don't think John Harbaugh is thinking that. I think he's thinking we can get somebody in to compete with Runyon and beat him out. Fine. If we can get somebody to replace him, maybe they'll, Runyon's cap hit is like they could save $9 million by getting, rid of him. I don't know if they'll do that, but Elijah Vera Tucker, I mean, I think he's definitely in play. Now, he is the classic guy. There's 2 words to describe him in my mind. Do you know what those 2 words are?
No. Classic guy.
When healthy.
Oh, when healthy.
When healthy. I mean, he is a good player when healthy. He'd be a good pickup when healthy. He's not healthy. He's with the Giants. What? He was with the Jets 4 years, 3 seasons. He left the season with its, injury shortened injury, 2 triceps, 1 Achilles. Last year did not play at all, tore his triceps before the first game of the season. So he's a good player. And, why don't the Jets want him back? Because he's never healthy, former first-round pick. So if you sign him, first of all, you better have a guy like Van Roten as a backup because he may get hurt, because he often gets hurt. When he plays, he's a good player. So he would be a interesting contract, because you can't give him a ton of money because you may have to eat that money when he doesn't play. Yeah. So, and put it this way, if he gets hurt, what will us and the fans say? Why the hell did you sign a guy who's never healthy?
Yes. Yeah.
What about
why did you sign him?
What about a guy like Joel Bitonio? He's going to be 35 years old. He's an experienced veteran. He's been part of some Cleveland teams that have been able to run the ball well with Nick Chubb. Is that a guy that the Giants would take a look at?
How about Wyatt Teller?
That too.
From the Browns.
Yeah.
How about Wyatt Teller from the Browns? He's younger. He played against Harbaugh 2 years, twice every season. Good player. Did not have a really good season last year. He's powerful. John Harbaugh wants powerful guys. Now Elijah Vera Tucker is only 308 pounds. He's not a monster, but he's a really good player. Teller's a little bigger. He wants. John Harbaugh has said, "We are the New York Football Giants. We need to look like that coming off the bus." That's not the reason Wan'Dale Robinson probably won't be here, but he likes when given the choice of bigger or smaller, he wants bigger. So, could I see Elijah Vera Tucker? I could. Could I see Wyatt Teller? I could. Maybe not in the first couple of days. They could sign 2 of them. And I think Harbaugh is okay with John Michael Schmitz. I don't think he's in love with him, but I think that he's, I can work with him if we got some better players around him. Linderbaum is great, but they can't make Linderbaum the highest paid center in the league. They just don't have the financial, resources to do that right now.
Let's flip on the defensive side of the football.
Need some linebackers.
They have to have linebackers. The Panthers are signing linebacker Jalen Phillips to a 4-year, $120 million deal. Breaking news: the Colts are trading Michael Pittman Jr. to the Steelers. DK and Pittman. But let's stay on linebackers here, Paul, because obviously they cut Bobby Okereke. That saved them $9 million on the cap. Is there any interest, or are you hearing anything of them going after maybe Alex Anzalone or any of these linebackers that are in this free agency cycle?
Well, their starting linebackers right now, I think, are Darius Muasau and I don't even know.
Fox,
I don't even know the second.
Timon Fox.
Well, Timon Fox, he's more of an edge guy.
What about Quincy Williams, former Jet as well? I know I keep bringing up Jets, but
well, I'm just saying, yes, they need 2 of them. They need 2 of them. Now, Micah McFadden could come back, but he's coming off a devastating, a bad foot injury, and I don't think he'll sign a big contract, and he's not a big guy, but I think he could be in the mix, but we'll see. Yes, Noah Carrick, Leo Chenal from the Chiefs, former Wisconsin linebacker. Pretty sturdy run guy. Quincy Williams, I think, is someone we should discuss. Alex Anzalone, yes. Tremaine Edmonds. I think they're going to sign one of these guys. I really do. They need to. You can't wait. Joe Shane always says, I like going into the draft being able to play a game that day before the draft if I can, right? Right now, they really can't play a game. I mean, they can put 2 guys in at inside linebacker, but you really can't play a game. You know what I mean? So with credible players. So you can't say, well, we'll wait to the draft and take Sonny Styles, okay? Well, first of all, do you know if a rookie's going to be ready to play? They need somebody else. So I would think they will sign somebody. Now, I don't know if they're going to do all this in a day or 2. You know what I mean? They want to move on and see what's going on with their own guys and then kind of branch out, with other guys. But yeah, inside linebacker, they need a, Denard, Wilson needs an inside linebacker. Right. They really don't have anyone now who can start for them right now. So they need somebody. Yes.
More breaking news. Packers free agent quarterback Malik Willis is signing with the Dolphins, which makes sense after the Dolphins released Tua Tagovailoa.
Congrats.
Yeah. Paul, you mentioned Cordell Flott before too. Do you see the secondary as another like spot there where the Giants could potentially add in free agency, or would you say that's more of a draft priority for the Giants?
I just see Kenneth Walker's money is like almost 14. It's a little more than almost 15 million a year. You know, that the Giants were not going to do that. They were not going to do that for running back. They just couldn't. Yeah, look, they want Cordell Flott back. You know, they want him back. Now, you know, is he a classic John Harbaugh cornerback? He's 175 pounds soaking wet, right? You know what I mean? You know, I mean, he makes Brandon London look like Adonis, you know?
I've been working out, Paul.
Once, yeah, you've 175 is in your rearview mirror, right? Yeah. Yeah.
But we just we see that the Raiders have just re-signed Eric Stokes to a 3-year, $30 million deal, so he's off the board. Do you think? I mean, is that somewhere where Cordell Flott could kind of fall in, or do you think they're going to have to pivot and go get maybe one of these other corners out there for a cheaper price?
Jamel Dean, I think, is a guy I've heard named from the Buccaneers. I think he's somebody. James Pierre from the Steelers, maybe. There's a lot of names out there. You know, it's you know, Cordell Flott is a guy who, you know, a year or two ago I would not have been saying to you guys, oh yeah, Cordell Flott, they're going to want to bring him back. You know, he just didn't seem like he kind of seemed like a guy who was going to play his 4 years. Brandon, didn't you kind of feel the same way?
Absolutely.
He play his 4 years.
Breaking news: Giants are signing Isaiah Likely, according to Jordan Schultz, a 3-year, $40 million deal to be back with John Harbaugh and the New York Giants. Sorry, Paul, just saw that.
Well, that's good. I'm going to have to get off soon to do some writing. But,
real quick, your reaction to that, Paul.
About.
Yeah, what do you think?
Look. This is why you bring in John Harbaugh, right? Because if he has convictions on guys, then you let him run with it. You know what I mean? Now, he can't sign everybody from the Ravens, but, you know, there was some talk. Wasn't there some talk that I don't think Isaiah Likely really likes Harbaugh? I don't know if he's his kind of player. I don't think he's a guy who'll come back. You know, I thought that, you know, as we said earlier in this, and I'm glad we have this, you know, we talked about this live, that Likely is a guy that would be in John Harbaugh's, you know, sphere here, and they got him. So that shows there was mutual interest that they got him so quickly. So maybe we'll do something later or tomorrow or something. We'll touch back on all this other stuff.
Absolutely. Yes, Paul Schwartz, we appreciate you giving us some time. I know you got to go right now, but thank you as always, and pay attention to Paul's coverage throughout the week for all free agent news for the New York Giants. Thanks, Paul.
I said it was likely. I said maybe likely, right? So, okay. I didn't say definite, but I said likely.
You did.
There we go. There we go.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So two things on
go ahead,
because he said he used the pun with the likely, but you said you got to go right now, and right now. There we go.
Well, look. So real quick, let's reset here. So the Giants, we're getting tons of news before he moves right now. 3 years. $40 million contract. He can make up to $47.5 million. This makes Isaiah Likely the 3rd highest paid tight end in the NFL and pairs him with Jackson Dart and obviously Cam Scatterbo. This adds a nice weapon for the Giants offense. When you're talking about Malik Neighbors, hopefully coming back from that knee injury, this is starting to shape out to be a nice offense for Jackson Dart, another weapon. Brandon, what do you make of the move now that Isaiah Likely is officially a New York Giant?
I mean, you love it because we were talking about Jeremiah Love. We were talking about what are the positions that can take away and relieve some pressure from a young quarterback. 1, the running back by being able to hand him the football and get chunk plays. 2, the tight end. The tight end is supposed to be a quarterback's best friend. The area across the middle, that intermediate area where you got the basic in routes, that seam ball, you know, that post route by that tight end, whether he was in line or he was flex. The Giants are missing that. And they missed that. You know, I think they tried to rely too much on a Theo Johnson on the 4th round draft pick. And just as where he was then within his career, right, the last couple of years, he just wasn't ready. So now you bring in a guy that's ready. I've been ready, coach. And that could be where those reports, or maybe whatever those reports, whether they're true or not, he could be frustrated with the Harbaugh because he's looking at himself in terms of Isaiah Likely. I'm the man. I'm him. I know I have Mark Andrews in front of me, and you guys paid him. You gave him the bag, but that's the guy that dropped that 2-point conversion on the touchdown that I scored to bring us back into that football game 2 years ago. So, and then on the 4th down against the Steelers this year, 4th and 6, who does Lamar Jackson go to? Coming as the number 3 receiver out of the slot on a deep cross, on a deep over, Isaiah Likely, and he high points it in double coverage and comes down with that football. Now you have gotten Jackson Dart a weapon, and it takes pressure off of him. And it also, like I said, it takes pressure off of what you do for a playmaker at 5. So now I'm saying I don't think the Giants are in play for a wide receiver at number 5. I think now, especially with how deep that this receiver draft is, Denzel Boston out of Washington, Mekhi Lemon, you got Jordan Tyson. Some of these guys are going to fall. Not all of them are going to just go in that first 10 to 15 range. Some of those guys, one of these guys are going to fall to 37. And now you feel as though you have your day 1 ready receiver in the 2nd round that you can now pair up with Malik Neighbors. You're still going to have to maybe go out and, I would say, just if you lose Wan'Dale, throw in a Deebo Samuels. He had over 800 scrimmage yards. He's kind of on the decline-ish, but at the same time, he's not going to command you that much money. Yeah. But now your passing game just got better by wrapping up Isaiah Likely and getting another weapon for Jackson Dart.
Yeah, look, I like Isaiah Likely a lot. The guy has been dying to be a starting tight end full time. He's going to get that opportunity here with the Giants. I love his yak ability. He can get so many yards after catch. You've seen him in the open field. He's so fast. He's so explosive. And I think the Ravens are going to miss him this year. I know Mark Andrews is a very good tight end, but Isaiah Likely scores touchdowns too, man. And that's something the Giants need. Get him the ball and let him do his thing. More breaking news. Jets are signing former Bengals pass rusher Joseph Ossai, according to Jordan Schultz. Ossai had 14.5 sacks in 4 years with Cincinnati. This adds more depth to the Jets defensive line, the defensive end position, just because they traded Jermaine Johnson to the Titans. They obviously have Will McDonald and no one else really. So this just adds more depth to that edge spot for them. They needed to get some more depth here. I think we have Frankie Vinariti here who's going to help join us here and talk about all these breaking moves and with the Jets signing. Frankie, what's going on, buddy? Welcome to the live show here with Brandon and myself. What do you think about the Joseph Ossai signing for the Jets?
Guys, it's been crazy, man. It's been crazy. We're basically, an hour into this thing, even less than an hour. It's not even 1 p.m. yet, and you got signings out the wazoo, left and right. Money's being spent. Teams are getting better. And I like that the Dolphins got Malik Willis. This helps out the pro tankers, doesn't it, Ryan? So
I mean, I don't know what the Dolphins are doing, to be honest. They take a $99 million in dead money for the Dolphins to release Tua as a post June 1st cut, and then they trade Minkah Fitzpatrick to get rid of more salary. But they bring in Malik Willis, a big time deal. Frankie, the deal for Joseph Ossai, 3 years, $36 million, $22.5 million guaranteed. He's getting some good money here from Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, listen, guys, if you look at the edge market, right, it is outside of quarterback. After quarterback, it's the most expensive market. Look at what Jalen Phillips just got paid. Jalen Phillips just got paid
$120 million.
Yeah, $30 million a year. Yeah, for a guy that's been injured for more than half of his time in the NFL. $80 million guaranteed also, guys. 80, that's a lot of money. So listen, Joseph Ossai is a flexibility piece. I think what the Jets wanted to do a lot more odd fronts going into next year and running a 3-4. He can play that 5 tech. Brandon, we spoke about it how many times about what the Jets might need with that 5 tech role, stopping the run. We spoke about on our mock draft shows. That's the kind of guy you bring in, and he gives you positional flexibility. I like that Muji is looking at the right positions and where to allocate the proper resources at the right spot. So instead of going into the draft and having a, sign a defensive tackle or draft a defensive tackle or a safety, they address that in the offseason. They sign a depth piece at edge, so maybe you don't have to spend a pick later on, and they could focus on offense, which is what I think the focus should be come draft day.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
And I still think they go edge rusher at number 2, but this is just that depth piece because, I mean, from the Giants side of things, Abdul Carter, he's going to be really good, and he showed flashes of that. But did he have a number 2 overall type season last year? So now you could bring in a guy that in the Joseph Asai, who it's like, as long as he doesn't come in and he's like, well, I got my bag, I'm done. If he still looks at himself where I could possibly get another payday out of this, I'm going to come in and wreak some havoc for Aaron Glenn and this defense. And then if they do go with that second, with the second pick, they do go edge rusher. Now Asai is putting pressure on Will McDonald to where it's like, you got to match my energy and production now, because if not, the young boy is going to stay. Now they just paid me. Now you got to now it's on you, Will McDonald. What are you going to do? Because you traded away Jermaine Johnson. You're a Joe Douglas guy. Will McDonald, what are you going to do here? And if you don't feel as though like, oh, well, they traded away my boy, they just brought in another guy, and now they're potentially going to draft the guy as well. Well, then there goes the door then. Yeah. There goes the door. We're covered. We've covered the bases.
Osai last year had 5 sacks with the Bengals, 2 forced fumbles. Again, the Jets had a lot of trouble being able to create any turnovers. Yeah. He's 25 years old, Brandon.
There you go.
Like, he's a young kid, 6'4", 263. He was rated as a 25th best run defender on the as an edge. Yep. So you see where the Jets are going. Minkah liked to play up in the box slot last year. Great against the run. Osai's good against the run. They're trying to build this defense to be somewhat better, Frankie, as well, against the run. And this provides a lot of depth. And like you guys are both saying, it eliminates that need. Like, we have to take this guy no matter what at 2 or 16 because we didn't address it in free agency. Yeah. I really like what Darren Muji and the Jets are doing.
Yeah. And Frankie, it looks like, and we were talking about this with Kaz earlier, how grim the potential quarterback situation can look like for the Jets. And it looks like they're addressing that defense to kind of they see the same situation.
More breaking news for the Jets.
Go ahead.
Jets, according to Jeremy Fowler, are signing pass rusher Kingsley Engabari. How do you say that name? Engabari. Headed to the Jets for a 1-year, $10 million deal. According to Jeremy Fowler, they're getting more
another
edge.
One.
Frankie, more edge depth, buddy.
Yep. That's what it's about. The last thing with Asai I'm going to say is he used to be a former inside linebacker. So actually coming out of the draft, he was projected to go in the second round, actually fell to round 3. He's a perfect fit for that 3-4 outside linebacker role, or he's got the long enough arms in the range where he could play maybe that 5 tech. But yeah, this Kingsley guy coming from Green Bay, listen, it's just another depth piece. It's another depth piece. He can play. He can play that edge role. Yeah.
He's 26 years old, Frankie. I mean, again, they're picking younger guys who are hitting free agency for the first time, and they're saying, hey, we're giving you a chance to get more playing time here, right? Like, because we don't have any starters really here at all. Yeah. So compete, be a part of this team, and be in that rotation. This reminds me a lot. I know this sounds crazy, guys. This reminds me a lot of what the Lions did when they were trying to build that defense out with Aaron Glenn. Am I crazy, Frankie, in the way they're approaching this?
No, it's very similar, very similar. He's another guy, Kingsley. He's good against the run. I know last year he was top 20 in the NFL in terms of solo tackles at the position. They're trying to get guys to stop the run. They had so many issues stopping the run last year, guys. It's just they want quality guys that can tackle, that can make plays. I mean, that's kind of what they're looking at. I think you'll get the splash kind of edge at 2, obviously, whoever it is, Bailey or Reese, and then they can get a little bit more cute. But these are like fill-in kind of guys, which, I mean, you can't blame Muji for to a degree. These are guys that you got to line up with guys like this, right? Just to be competitive in the league.
Yeah, you got to look at these guys as potential starters, though.
Yes.
Because if we're talking week 18, week 16, 17, guys are banged up. This signing that I just gave, what'd you say, 20-something guaranteed to a side?
22.5
22 guaranteed. Yeah. Week 17, we need to win, or week 18, we need to win this game to win the AFC East. Such and such, maybe the number 2 pick, he's hurt with whatever because the rookie is not used to an 18-week season. You're now our starter. I need you to wreak havoc off the edge. But you know who's smiling right now, Frankie, with what the Jets have done so far is Jamie Sherwood should be smiling right now.
Yeah. More breaking news for the Jets.
Oh, my goodness.
Veteran linebacker Demario Davis is signing with the Jets a 2-year, $22 million deal that includes $15 million guaranteed. According to Tom Pelissero, The Jets are now making 3 different signings here. They got Minkah Fitzpatrick. For all the talk about the Jets not having a busy day here from Kaz and everyone, I don't think it'll be that many crazy. It's like signing after signing now. So now we got
You know why? Because Ryan, I came in. That's why. When I come in,
Demario Davis, 3rd run.
Demario Davis is awesome. I love Demario Davis. I've always loved Demario Davis. Demario Davis, he's 37. I know he's getting older, but he's in such peak physical shape. That guy ages like fine wine. He's going to be playing in this league like Bobby Wagner, still playing at a premier level in the NFL. Yeah. Those guys really can play as long as they want. And until they're 43, those guys can still figure things out. Demario Davis helps out Jamie Sherwood a bunch. I cannot state that enough.
What you're saying.
Yeah, Jamie Sherwood, like you're saying, he needs as much help as he can get. He has struggled to kind of come into his own. I never really believed in Jamie Sherwood as sort of that Mike inside linebacker. We were speaking about this, Brandon. Remember those Mike and Will roles are kind of not around as much anymore, but I still believe in the premise of them. You need that off kind of, not your strong linebacker. You need your guy that's more flexible and can do more. That's what Demario Davis has done his whole career. So, and he's going to help out Arvell Reese or David Bailey too. You need those voices in the room, man. We're the 2nd youngest team in the NFL. We need to get some adults in the room there. You got Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now you got Demario Davis. That's how you coach up these youngins, man.
And while we're at it, the leadership, you know what, a lot of times, because I called Demario Davis earlier, Frankie, I called him Udonis Haslam, that older player that's kind of like that player coach. But now I'm starting to see something here. You guys were talking about, okay, these guys were young last year, inexperienced, a little immature, at times, maybe just in terms of football savvy.
The Jets defense?
The Jets defense.
Oh my God, it was horrible.
Then you trade for T'Vondre Sweat, who people have said in Tennessee that he needs to learn how to be a better pro. Who else is going to teach you to be a better pro than Minkah Fitzpatrick and a Demario Davis, especially with Davis, to where you've worn the shield twice before.
Yeah.
You're not coming back for a 3rd time for no reason. You're one of these guys that you may be in the front office one day. We're going to have a nice little corner office or a cubicle set up for you one day, because not only did you come back and you help turn this franchise around as a player, you can do it as some sort of executive, but the leadership role that you're seeing that. And it's not just you're bringing in some old guy that can't play. These guys,
Brandon,
you still got something left.
He was the 7th best against the run in terms of linebackers in all NFL, according to PFF grade. He's still the 6th rated highest graded linebacker in the NFL, according to PFF. So if you listen to PFF, you see this guy can still ball out.
Absolutely.
And like,
guys, you want another?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying, most tackles he's had in his career, he had last year. He had 143 tackles. That's the most he's had in his NFL career.
Boy, and that Frank Thomas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he reminds me a lot like a Bobby Wagner. Like, you can just continue to throw him out there. He's a veteran leader, and he's going to help lead this defense, call the plays, move Sherwood over to the will. Don't put as much pressure on that guy. Let him ball out more. I really like what the Jets are doing right now. Other breaking news, Titans have agreed to a 2-year deal with Mitchell Trubisky. So take another quarterback option off the board, Frankie. And I think Brandon was going to ask you about quarterback here, because I think it is interesting to segue into this part of the discussion. We had Kaz on, and I don't know if you get to hear it yet, but he's like, look, Ryan, I think you're going to see a very interesting quarterback room with the names that are going to be signed here. And he did not mean it in a good way. Interesting. Mentioned Geno Smith, mentioned Carson Wentz. I mean, that's where it seems to be going right now. What do you think about this, Frank?
Listen, man, I don't like it. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not a huge fan of it. It doesn't really get me excited. Ryan, we spoke about on our last pod. I like the unknown variable to a degree. Bring in a vet that will at least be able to play the position, and then bring in an unknown. I'm a big Tyson Bagent fan. I know people don't really know much about him. How can you? He hasn't really played at all in an actual game since 23. But if you look at what he does what he did in preseason, and you look at what he did in 23 and how Ben Johnson talks about him, Ben Johnson basically came out recently and said, there's no way if that guy starts, he's not one of the top, 32 quarterbacks in football. And he's higher than that for sure. And listen, he could be saying that to drive his value up, but
Yeah, I mean, Kaz said the second round pick. That's a crazy ask. For
Yeah,
Tyson
it's
Bagent.
too much. I mean,
yeah.
I'm at the point, guys.
I mean, he's a backup quarterback.
Which is why you got to go with someone proven. Because look, you see how happy you are with all these picks.
Yeah.
You guys, I didn't see you this happy, in a long time.
This is
talking
our Super
Jets
Bowl,
football.
Brandon. Frankie could tell you, the Super Bowl for the Jets fan is the offseason. We dominate the offseason unlike any other team, whether it's good or bad news. This is what we do. Like, we win in the offseason as Jets fans.
But you know how to keep that jubilation and to keep that excitement. You have to get a quarterback. It doesn't matter who they bring in on the edge or who they gave $22 million to. Minkah, they can bring who you can bring in, everybody from Jersey. If you don't have a quarterback, that means absolutely nothing, because you're trying to stop the run and we brought in leadership and this guy's a glue guy. But if you don't have that quarterback on 3rd and 13, that's either going to stare down the barrel of a gun and about to get his head knocked off, and he still makes that pass to Garrett Wilson, or he scrambles, get out, and then it gets that first down with his feet. That means absolutely nothing, because these defenses cannot stop these offenses for too long in the NFL. So I'm Frankie, call me crazy if I'm crazy. I'm going all in with some of that draft capital, and I'm trying to poach somebody away from somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, everything's about the contract extensions that you're going to give these guys. I mean, you look at what Pittsburgh just did. They bring in Michael Pittman. They give him that, 3 years, $59 million deal. You got to have a contract in mind when you're setting these things up is kind of the point. So whether, Brandon, you're getting them in free agency or you're trading for them like the Jets did with Minkah and then doing a deal, kind of slice it how you want. I do agree with you, though. If you have guys that you really want and make sense for how you want to, structure your roster, giving up a late day 3 pick, it's fine. I don't see the value in a 7th rounder as much as some other people. I don't see much. I don't see any value, really, to be honest, unless you're trying to get like a special team or a gunner or something. But you guys see now the way the markets are playing out is kind of interesting. So Alec Pierce gets the biggest free agent wide receiver contract for a wide receiver ever. And Kenneth Walker gets the highest running back contract via free agency that a running back's ever gotten. That Kenneth Walker deal is going to directly affect what that Breece deal looks like. So Kenneth Walker getting around almost $15 million a year. Breece Hall is going to go into that room and say, Kenneth got almost 15. I'm not worth $15 million a year. You better pony up. So the Jets.
I'm paying Breece Hall more than Kenneth Walker.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Breece Hall. I want to pull this up onto Twitter. So Breece has some interesting things to say. He goes, damn, we sure got a lot of money in Florham Park for all these contracts. Dude's signing. Laughing emojis right after that, man. Well,
you guys are definitely dominating the offseason right now. There you go, Breece.
This is what we do, man.
Hey, Breece, if you're call in, bro. Call in, bro. Tell us how you really feel. So basically he just forced you guys' hand just now.
It's not forcing our hand, but I think we've heard like the Jets would love to obviously try and negotiate a long-term deal with him, but the franchise tag was placed on him. And at this point right now, it's like, I'd be a little bit upset if I were Breece Hall as well. It's like you're handing out deals left and right, but the restructure, like if I were Aaron Glenn, I would tell Breece, 1, get off Twitter, like stop paying attention to that. 2, did you watch the defense last year?
Yeah.
It was the worst we've ever had in terms of production, in terms of stopping the run, stopping the pass. Couldn't do anything right. And we couldn't turn the ball over. We had 0 interceptions. I am trying to change that narrative right now by bringing actual veteran players, leaders into this locker room to hold you accountable, because Kaz came on the show last week and said there's been talk about Breece's immaturity level in the locker room and how people didn't really respect him as much as he thinks, and that there's actual questions about him as a person in that locker room. So
breaking news, guys.
Go ahead, Frankie.
Alex Anzalone is going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the thought of him going to the Jets.
So no Giants, no Jets.
Giants, and I wanted him.
You know what, Frankie? As soon as they signed Davis, it made sense why he would be
totally
a Jet.
He didn't get much money too. 2 years, $17 million. I mean,
he got less than Demario Davis.
He did significantly less, basically. I mean, $5 million on 2 years, a pretty large chunk there. So yeah,
if you want to look at the taxes that Brandon will talk about, like Florida.
Oh no, state tax in
million,
Florida, you get all that check.
State income tax, no way. State income tax, $22 million in New York. You're making less than the $17 million.
$22 million in New York, you still got to get a roommate. In Florida, you got yourself a palace. But I want to. Can we go back to? Well, first, let me talk Anzalone and what this means for the Giants. I really wanted him to go after this guy, especially since if you're cutting Bobby Okereke and you're saving that $9 million, and let's say you do get Sonny Styles, I can't if I'm Denard Wilson, I can't just look at a kid and be like, all right, he's going to come in day one and wear the green dot of the helmet and pick up this defense right away. So pairing him up with the Anzalone, who the guy can play in space, the guy gets pick sixes, he's a coverage type backer. You may not get that out of a Michael McFadden if you can't re-sign him. I thought Michael McFadden was good at playing in space.
Still come back to the Giants,
so he could still come back. But after that major foot injury, the Giants what did Paul? Someone was saying who cracked the joke about the what if? Oh yeah, Elijah Vera Tucker. That's the same thing with the Giants and a lot of their playmakers this year in the Scatterboo and Malik Neighbors
coming off
you're hoping these guys coming off these major injuries can be what they were at one point. But to go back to Breece Hall, if you said if you're Aaron Glenn, you're talking to Breece Hall, one about addressing the defense, two, stay off of social media. One, you ain't my mama. You ain't gonna tell me that. You ain't gonna take my phone. I ain't grounded. Two, man, forget the defense and forget what everybody in that locker room thinks of me. I'm out of here, bro. Like, why did you transition tag me? That is what he's doing right here.
They didn't transition the game.
Not transition, the franchise tag. Like this is his version of T.O. in the driveway doing crunches.
I don't know if it's that extreme.
But he's not a invite the press to his house and do. But he wants out. He doesn't want to be in that locker room. Yeah. Free him. Why do you need to keep him around?
Well, because the Jets have no weapons on the offensive side of the ball besides Garrett Wilson.
So then the team is being selfish because this guy doesn't.
Brandon, I know what you're doing right now. You're looking from the player perspective, and I totally understand this.
Well, how else am I supposed to look at it? Like, you're not going to check Breece Hall?
It's the same thing the Giants did with Saquon Barkley. Franchise tag him because you have the ability to franchise tag him.
Yeah, so you got the power, but just because you franchise tag me and you tell me to stay off of social media and you tell me that guys didn't like me in the locker room.
Perspective, who's trying to control the narrative, because you've seen, and Frankie, you could talk about this too. Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji do not let anything leak out of the building. Like they have, for all intents and purposes, shut those leaks down in how they want to approach free agency, draft. Like we don't know. Like we can all make assumptions just off of what they've said and like where they really need to make moves. But like they have tried to shut that down. So Breece Hall's been that one guy, I would say, Frankie, that's been like, I'm willing to speak up against this just because I think, and rightfully so, the man's trying to get paid. He's trying to get his long-term money.
This ain't North Korea. Like people can still talk about.
I'm not saying, but I'm not saying it to be like Bill Belichick and like no social media whatsoever. But I'm just trying to say is like, I wouldn't say now is the time for you to be chiming in because the Jets are making actual moves. How about, damn, we might actually have a defense that can be somewhat adequate this year.
Hey, flip that W to a M. Flip that up to. He's not thinking we. I am thinking me. Breece, don't know his middle name, Hall. I want to get paid. I have put in the work here. I've gone through rebuild after rebuild after. Now we got new coach, new this. Like I've gone through that already. All I'm asking you guys is to pay me for what I've done already and what you think and project me to be able to do for this offense. So that's what he's saying. Like it's he'll probably get a phone call or something like, yo, man, what's up? But at the same time, you know where I stand. Same thing with Saquon. We saw it on Hard Knocks. Pay me.
I'll say this.
If you go ahead, Frankie.
No, I'll just say this. To what Ryan was just saying is totally true. If you guys remember when Aaron Glenn was coming to town, Quinnen Williams tweeted, "Oh, great, another rebuild." And if you look at how Sauce was constantly tweeting all the time, they didn't like that. They got both those guys out of town. And Brandon, what you're saying is this. You know what I'd come back to you with? Because you're talking about Breece Hall, right?
Yep.
Is proof in the pudding really with this guy, or is it all on potential? And if it's all on potential,
Frankie, you don't like Breece Hall.
No, I don't like him. If it's all on potential, maybe we're not the place for you to hit that potential. I said it. I'll say it again. He needs to go to a place where he can get the ball with some space, because it's not going to be here.
That's with this team and Frank Reich, Frankie.
I don't know what Frank Reich's going to put together yet, though. We'll see. I mean, that's why
you're forcing this arranged marriage, Ryan.
It's not an arranged marriage. The Jets said, we actually believe in you, Breece, and we think we can make you reach your full potential with a new offensive coordinator who's actually experienced in calling plays, unlike the last couple of offensive coordinators that they had. And they might bring someone in, a quarterback who might know how to take a friggin' snap and throw a ball to a receiver on third down, like you're talking about. I've had the worst quarterback play every year for the last 3 years.
So
4 years.
How do you think he feels?
Breece is probably like, can I get a real quarterback?
He sees.
And you know what the Jets are going to say? Here's Geno Smith.
Or Carson Wentz.
Man.
Oh, man.
Listen, Carson Wentz, whatever Carson Wentz had when he was drafted, and I'll be honest, I loved him when he was drafted. Yeah, I really was a big fan. I liked him more than Jared Goff out of that draft. I had Wentz as my QB1, I'll be honest. And he was really damn good. He was on an MVP trajectory that 1 year. Could have even turned that year into a Super Bowl MVP. They did win a Super Bowl. He just wasn't the starter that game or that playoff run. But Wentz, I think his best days are behind him, man. I don't know. Frank Reich, I don't know what he's going to try to salvage there. They're trying to see something, I guess, or they're trying to get something out of him. But
if he's the backup, I'm fine with it.
Same here.
That's what I'll say, Frankie. Like, if he's the backup, I think Wentz is a fine backup.
Yeah.
But he cannot be your starter next year. Like, Geno, it's going to be shotgun Geno. Like, it's going to be like, I'm just going to throw it down there. If it's someone's open down there. Like, he has no, there's nothing about Geno Smith's play that says he's afraid when he's in the pocket. Like, he's going to let it loose. Is it dangerous? Yes. Is it harmful for your team? Potentially. But at the same time, the Raiders, you can argue, were just as bad as the Jets, if not worse. I mean, they ended up with the number 1 pick, but like, there was a really bad football team for Geno to be playing on. And he did have recent success with the Seahawks, who just won a Super Bowl last year. So if he's playing in a better system and he's playing with a better offensive line, maybe. I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying Geno's going to win 10 to 12 games. What I'm saying is he can come in and maybe win you 5-6 games. I don't know. Frankie,
one of the top free agent safeties, by the way, is going to the Bears. Kobe Bryant, best name in football.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, look, Kaz came on and said that with the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade, he actually says the Jets won't be invested in the top of the safety market now. He thinks that they won't be signing one of those big free agent guys. In fact, they'd be looking more at a lower tier guy. Frankie, I do want to talk about the offensive line. John Simpson agreed to a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Ravens, so he's going back to Baltimore. So the Jets now have 2 open guard spots. AVT's a free agent. John Simpson's walking to the back to the Ravens. Does it feel a little weird, Frankie, that the Jets are relying on now probably a premium position in the draft and most likely going to have to go into free agency, signing a guard?
Listen, guys, I hope this doesn't happen on draft day, but I think it could. I think when that 16 spot, when the ticker's on that pick, I think those 3 wide receivers that we talk about all the time, Tate, Tyson, Lemon, I don't think will be there. And I think the Jets are going to be in a spot where they're not going to get a defensive tackle there. They're now not going to get a safety. It might come down to guard. There's a few guards I like in free agency. I like Isaac Sumale out of the Chargers, who's really good. I like Wyatt Teller. I always did. I think Wyatt Teller's a beast. I know he's getting a little older and he hasn't had the best couple years, but when you're playing with the quarterbacks that he's had to deal with that hold on to the ball forever back there in Cleveland, it makes his numbers and how he plays look a little bit worse. Yeah. So I like both those guys a lot, actually. Samalu and Teller. You have Zeitler available too, James Daniel. A lot of people like. I think Ryan and Brandon, I think they should sign one of these guys, kind of wait until the market kind of plays itself out. And then I'd bring one in on a 2-year deal. And then if 16 opens up and Vega Ioane's there, or you want to, get Spencer Fano because he's dropping because teams don't view him as a tackle.
Right, and move him to guard because of his short arms. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's something I'd consider if the 3 receivers
ready for more. You ready for more Giants news?
We got some Giants, and then let's go back. Then let's go back to that.
So the Giants have signed a free agent to a record deal, the highest to be ever paid at this position.
Kicker,
punter. The Giants are bringing in Ravens free agent punter Jordan Stout has agreed to a 3-year, $12.3 million deal that makes him the NFL's highest paid punter and reunites him with the former head coach and John Harbaugh. The deal cannot be signed until Wednesday, according to Adam Schefter.
And special teams coordinator Chris Horton had just came from the Ravens as well. But what's the defense best friend? A punter that could absolutely make you try and drive the length of the football field to try and score. When you go and look at the probabilities, I'll go look it up when I get like a couple seconds, but the probability of going and scoring a touchdown when you're backed up, where you got to go 90 plus versus 80 plus versus 70 plus, like it continues to go down each year. And then when you think about it, like Harbaugh, like, that's complimentary football that they're trying to bring in, and he's just coming in and he's just implementing something that a lot of Giants fans haven't seen in a lot of time in the recent years, in the last decade, just complete structure. So hey, there you have it. Like that's a huge move right
More
there,
breaking
because
news
that's
for
a
the
weapon.
Giants.
Okay, let's keep it rolling.
Now that they have Isaiah Likely, free agent tight end Daniel Bellinger is signing with the Titans to reunite with Brian Dable.
Okay, Brian Dable. Well, then, okay, well, I feel some sort of way about that, because Dable was the one that kind of buried this kid. Remember, when he came in his rookie year, he had the 4 touchdowns. I understand that the Giants didn't have much in terms of when it came to receivers, because Isaiah Hodgins came in and kind of took over when it came to that receivers room. But then he kind of buried Daniel Bellinger as well and just made him some sort of pass blocking tight end. But that's good that he reunites down there with Dable, and now I hope he gets a little bit more of an opportunity down there to show and showcase his hands. Not that much of a yak guy, but that's still a great signing for him. And that was kind of the writing right there was kind of on the wall with the Isaiah Likely signing. So I mean, Frankie, you hop on and we're just getting signings galore, my guy.
Yeah, I told some people in the NFL, I'm like, just wait until I hop on to release the stuff. All right. So just I was gonna say, the thing with special teams, we laugh at it, a punter, a kicker, whatever. It's important with parity in the NFL today. I mean, you look at what the Cowboys are doing, they put a 2nd-round tender on Brandon Aubrey. I mean, like teams and some people are thinking, I would trade for Brandon Aubrey and give him a 2nd-round pick. I'll bring him in, or I'd sign him and give him a 2nd-round pick. So like, there's something to be said about special teams in today's NFL, that it matters. Every yard matters, right? You win a game, you lose a game because of a few yards. A 4th and inch either happens or it doesn't. That field goal at the end of a game, it either goes in or it doesn't. You know the parity. Your division, Brandon, there's so much parity in there. You could literally name any team in your division right now next year being first or being last, and I really wouldn't even be surprised, honestly, either way. So you got to take what you can get, and if it's a punter we all laugh at, it's real. And trust me, John Harbaugh, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
The fantasy football people are kind of laughing at it, but they shouldn't, because I understand it wasn't a sexy pick in free agency when we talk about the holes the Giants need to feed. But again, if you're into fantasy football and you're going to go pick a defense, you might want to look at who has a pretty solid punter on that defense as well, because again, that is a weapon. You could use the punter, the kicking game, as a weapon. And like we say in-house when we come to our team meetings, when we're all in together, it's 3 phases of football. You got to win at least 2 to win a football game. You can have the best defense in the world, but if you don't have a good special teams, then it doesn't matter. Like if your punt return team is giving up short fields or even points, who cares about your defense? So, I mean, that's a solid move by John Harbaugh.
Solidifies something that you don't have to worry about for the next 3 years for the
Can I go back to the Breece thing real
course.
quick? Just to go back to this. So now, because Sampson just went back to the Ravens, I'm thinking that wasn't about him. That was more about, okay, you got all this money to bring in all these pass rushers and edge rushers and defensive guys. But what about my hog mollies up front, who are the reasons why I have this success?
Yeah.
So maybe that's him kind of being a wee guy and being like, yo, you couldn't pay my guy.
I don't think he's doing like that. I think you're giving him way too much credit.
I'm on Breece Hall payroll.
Yeah, look, Kaz has talked about it. Like I said, he's talked about his mental, just his maturity level's not there. It hasn't. Speaking of running backs, Kenneth Gainwell is going to the Bucks.
Okay,
on a deal.
Okay,
some more free agent running back news.
Frankie, I'm there.
Yeah, so I'm interested, Frankie, in your thoughts. Malik Willis goes to the Dolphins. The Jets obviously didn't seem to want to be playing in those waters for that type of money. Should the Jets have really actually taken a look, though, at Malik Neighbors and given him a shot with the free agent deal?
Listen, man, I mean, the deal was what? It was 3 years, 67.5 million.
Yes.
Yeah, with 45 million guaranteed. I mean,
you're talking about 22 million, 22.5 million per year.
You gave Justin Fields 20 a year, right?
Yeah.
Well,
he did.
Yeah, I think if you think about think about Jeff Hafley, right? Former defensive coordinator in Green Bay. He saw Malik Willis every day. They have a relationship, I'm sure. They probably got in a room, Ryan and Brandon, and probably just talked it out and said, like, hey, what do you think your market is? This is what I'm hearing. Let's just get this damn thing done. Because I was going to say, Hafley was either going to love Malik or not want him. He was either going to want him or not, because you see him every day in practice. So you might know something, obviously. So either for better or for worse. In this case, it was for better. I think the Jets should have definitely knocked on those doors. I started watching. Kurt Warner did a really nice breakdown of the 28 plays, which is not much, but that Malik Willis has had as a starter where things were not easy, and what he did in those situations. Malik Willis is solid. I don't think he fits our timeline. And I also think, guys, at the end of the day, I think the Jets are looking at 27 for a quarterback. I just do. They're going to try to put something together just to get away with it this year, to have a suitable option, somewhat of a quarterback that'll raise that floor. But they got to look at 27, guys. 27 is a year. That's just what I think. Or maybe on a chance of God, Fernando Mendoza falls set to second overall if some crazy stuff happens. But yeah.
And you mentioned Hafley, Jeff Hafley, new Miami Dolphins head coach Jeff Hafley, former Packers defensive coordinator, seeing Malik Willis, to just kind of give our audience some context. That second string quarterback is a scout team quarterback throughout the course of the week. So when you're watching tape as a D coordinator, you're watching practice, you're like, dang, how did Malik fit that one up in there? You've seen some of that. Plus it helps because had the Dolphins not made a run at Willis, then that could have made his value go down a little bit, because it's like, if the D coordinator who was around you X amount of years, X amount of practices and days isn't making a run for you to be his guy down in Miami, what's wrong with him? Is he good enough to step in and be a QB1? So, I mean, the writing was kind of on the wall for that one. And like you said, Frankie, it would have been a terrible situation for him personally to have to step in and have all that pressure of trying to come in and be the guy to get the Jets just on the right path when it comes to one, offense, and two, just the franchise. It's now looking like Geno Smith, because not only if he wins or if he plays decent, let's say they're 8 and something after X amount of weeks, and you're looking at December football like, dude, we kind of have a shot. One, it's like, great job bringing Geno back. Wrote him off, didn't write back, but we brought him back. Two, if it doesn't work out, now you've got your fall guy for, like you said, Frankie, to blame somebody about the team being bad. Our defense got better, but Geno is the reason that this team didn't take that step. Now that sets you up in 2027 to go and get your guy aggressively.
It's
Yeah,
go ahead, Frankie.
No, I was gonna say, you know what's interesting with all this, and Brandon, I'm gonna win our bet. You know who was rumored that the Dolphins may have wanted at 11, right? Who do we have in our mock
Ty
draft?
Simpson. He keeps saying
Oh,
Ty
you said it first. All right, I win again.
He
All
keeps
right.
saying.
No, but I'm saying this
I'm
Ty
sorry, I don't
Simpson
bet.
thing. This Ty Simpson thing is real, though. I'm not kidding. By the time draft day comes, I'm telling you, it's going to be real. Listen, if the Jets sit there at 16 and Lemon, Tate, and Tyson aren't there, and I don't know if that's going to be the case. I'm like 50-50 on one of them being there, but who knows? They're going to have Simpson sitting there. I mean, the only other team that really needs a quarterback that I can think of, Pittsburgh needs one, but they may bring Rodgers back. Who else really needs a quarterback? The Raiders are going to take one in Mendoza. I don't know. I mean, every team really has a quarterback going into next season, don't they? So you're really talking about 2, maybe 3 teams that are looking at Ty. I think you wait till 33 if you want to throw a pick on them.
More breaking news. Jets need a kicker now. Nick Folk is signing a 2-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons at age 41. Folk will be back for his 20th NFL season. That's according to Tom Pelissero. So now, Frankie, the Jets need a new kicker.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like Nick, but I'm not crying over this. It's okay.
No?
Third day. What are we going to do? I mean,
how stable he was for the franchise. Like if he would have signed with the Giants fans would be excited about that pick because of the kicking woes that they've had. Like Nick Folk he's been
as good and steady as a kicker as you can ever ask for. The Jets should have never originally let him go. I said that. Frankie knows that. I think ultimately, like, you're talking about the one strength on this team was special teams last year with Chris Banjo as the special teams coordinator. I don't love the fact that you're taking away Mr. Reliable and now you have to find a new kicker.
Yeah. But that's hard.
The Jets weren't really kicking many field goals, if I'm being honest with you.
You're right.
That's another
I think we should wrap this up, fellas. That's an hour and a half we did here on free agency. More moves are coming as the day is coming on. Pay attention to Brandon. He's gonna have a blue rush with Paul, obviously going over the Giants moves. We'll have a gangs all here with Frankie and Kaz talking about the Jets moves. Busy day though for both teams.
Real fun. Both teams got better. Not only on the defensive side of the football, but special teams as well. Both of these coaches and regimes addressing the 3 areas of football, and you need it. But big on John Harbaugh to bring in Isaiah Likely. Again, we talked about what it's going to do for Jackson Dart, but Matt Nagy gets his Travis Kelce, who is now going to come back another season. And now we don't have to worry about Travis Kelce coming to the Giants because you got your Isaiah Likely. We had Sierra last year. We could have had Taylor Swift this year, but it's unlikely that we get Taylor Swift.
Frankie, thank you for hopping on, bud. We appreciate you as always. We'll talk to you soon.
See you guys soon, man. Thank you.
See you, Frankie. Brandon, I think it's well said. I don't have much else, man. This is fun. I love doing this stuff, talking ball with you, man.
Yes. I mean, football, man. Absolutely. I mean, when we talk about the hope, this is that time of the year where, a lot of people are like the NY and New York Jets and New York Giants stand for next year. Well, we're in that year. We're in that moment. So we're living these
Giants are. I don't know about the Jets.
You never know, man. You never know.
We'll be better defensively. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Better defensively. Look,
should.
I think I was reading a tweet just now about I like Daniel Jeremiah a lot. He says the Jets are spending on defense like a team that was embarrassed, rightfully so, by last year's performance. They know they're trying to clean this up. So it's nice to see that they're actually taking a stab at it with multiple moves to help this defense get better. You talked about the Devondre Sweat trade. They signed a bunch of guys: Demario Davis, Joseph Asai, Kingsley Agambare, Minkah Fitzpatrick trade this morning. They're trying to reshape this defense.
So that should answer a lot of questions for those Jets fans out there. That's like, is this regime competent enough to do X, Y, Z? They they saw what they needed to fix, and they're addressing it right now in free agency.
And the Giants get another massive weapon. You could argue it's wide receiver 2 ultimately. Isaiah Likely plays like a wide receiver.
He's going to get 60 catches.
It's a big time get for them, man.
He should have 60 catches this year, easy. And now when we talk about that running back market, I'm looking at the Rico Dowdle or one of those guys, but I'm hoping at 5. Jeremiah Love is there at 5. Harbaugh.
Listen, Paul said they're not going to be paying attention to the running back market right now. He goes, that's not something the Giants should be paying attention to. I will say this. Giants need fun tight ends. I always am reminded of Jeremy Shockey.
This is a man.
This is a guy right here, Isaiah Likely.
I spent Thanksgiving 2007 at Jeremy Shockey's house. Big townhouse in Edgewater. It was unbelievable. Good food. It was catered. It was catered, though. Yeah. It was
Shockey's a character, though.
He's Shocky's the man, man.
Yeah.
Shocky's the man. I'll leave it there.
For the New York Post Sports YouTube channel, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, catch all the content Brandon and I are going to be doing all throughout the NFL offseason as free agency is officially underway. Tampering has happened. Moves are happening. Signings are happening. Running backs that are disgruntled are making tweets that are, I'm sure, pissing off their front office. But this is why it's a fun time of year for us to be discussing all this. We'll catch you next time.